Good morning. Today is Thursday, April the 11th. Welcome to the Howdy Boomy podcast. White Castle. Remember those things, the little White Castle burgers? I was a kid. You used to have to go to White Castle and get 10 of them for $1. Here it is, 2024. They call them sliders now. They cost $3 each. Imagine that. I guess if something is out of style and comes back in style years later, same result, much more expensive. I guess that's the American way. I saw where Donald Trump walked into a Chick-fil-A, speaking of burgers. It was a black-owned Chick-fil-A in Atlanta, Georgia, and the people there loved him. The staff was hugging him. Amazingly, the staff told him, no matter what you read in the papers, ignore it because we love you. We're behind you. I wonder what the Democratic Party thinks about that, especially since Joe Biden had to have Bill Clinton and other dignitaries at his state dinner just to make him look good. He had a press conference with the Japanese Prime Minister, and he knew who he was going to call on. It was always preordained down on a piece of paper, but he was fumbling around trying to figure out who it was. And on top of that, he had the answers to the questions already written down. We have Carnac as President of the United States. It's just an amazing thing when you contrast the two. Can you imagine what a presidential debate is going to be like between these two guys? That's why the Democrats don't want it. Arizona, I'm not quite sure exactly what happened there, but the Supreme Court has one of the most stringent abortion laws in the country now, and the papers are full of it, saying that that's going to turn the election. And I can understand abortion being a hot-button issue, but think about this about your everyday life and what you're concerned about in everyday life. Where does abortion come in your? Does it have a top priority above gasoline prices, above inflation, above our border being thwarted by thugs, terrorists? Does it worry you more so than how your everyday life is going on, how you're going to afford to live? It's on the front page because the Democrats want it on the front page. Life is sacred. It's a whole different discussion, but abortion is not on the head of my list. Inflation is. The welfare of our country is. I saw where an Arizona Congressman, Hawley, was basically accosted by pro-Palestinian demonstrators in a lobby of the Congressional building. And they were yelling at him, Israel is terrible, Israel is killers, they must be stopped. And they were holding up their hands, painted in red. And I didn't know exactly what that meant, so I researched that. Now listen to this. 2 Israeli soldiers years ago made a wrong turn in Gaza and were captured by Palestinians. They took them to a room and tortured them. They called the phone, they called their wives, and they made their wives listen to them as they tortured them. After about a week of torture, they called their wives and made them listen to them as they killed them. They rubbed their hands in their blood. They showed it to the crowd outside of the windows, their bloody hands, as they just killed 2 Israeli soldiers. And the crowds cheered. Think about that. When you have someone saying Palestinian is a peaceful nation, Israel must be stopped. Think about that. Maybe George Soros wants you to believe that. But that is a terrible, terrible, terrible visual concept. And it's going to destroy that movement. Gaza is our animals infested by Hamas. Hamas must be stopped and eradicated. As I said before, let Israel go after Hamas, like the Democratic Party and our weaponized Department of Justice is going after Donald Trump. Watch the Howdy Boomy podcast on the Howdy Boomy channel on YouTube, the Howdy Boomy Show. Tomorrow, Friday, Shift Head of the Week. Man, we got an array of people we could choose from. It gets tougher and tougher every week. It's amazing how many idiots there are in the world. God bless you. God bless the United States of America.